We're all buying stuff online this holiday season, and we have got to stay safe. But how?
Well, that's a good question right there. Chip Cooper has the answer. He's here to talk about his new book and how big data is targeting you, which you can get online. Chip, thank you so much for being here and talking to us about your new book. But before we get started, I first want to outline what is in the book. What exactly is in the book? What can we find as consumers?
Well, the book is designed for consumers to help them understand how their data is collected and used online for purposes of personalized ads. You know, that ad that you click on, and Amazon, for example, and then the darn thing follows you around the internet for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Amazing how that happens.
How is that information collected? You'll be surprised to know the various ways it's collected. How is it used for those purposes? So it's a consumer-oriented book to help you understand and basically take some steps to manage that process.
Makes a lot of sense, and I think really one of the biggest parts of the book is the 3 things you need to avoid when you're shopping online. So can we go over those? What's the first one?
Well, the thing is, as you probably know, shopping online, particularly with mobile devices, is very convenient, but it's also an open invitation to theft, not only of your private personal information, but also your credit card information. So you really need to avoid at least these 3 mistakes. And let's go on sort of an imaginary shopping spree,
Absolutely,
if we might.
Yeah.
You're out shopping and you need to take a break. So you decide to go to a coffee shop to use their public Wi-Fi to make a couple of purchases with your iPad. Don't do it. You need to understand that public Wi-Fi is the most insecure internet connection on the planet, meaning that any data that you upload or download is subject to interception. So the second mistake, you realize you're still in the coffee shop and you realize your first mistake and you try to avoid it by using your cell phone, your smartphone and its cellular connection, thinking it's more secure. And you'd be correct. But what's the mistake? The mistake is you forgot to manually disable the automatic Wi-Fi connection. Most smartphones are set to automatically switch from cellular to Wi-Fi whenever they encounter a Wi-Fi signal, and you don't even realize it. It's done to save you money. So automatically, you should always manually disable that automatic connection.
So is that like the low-hanging fruit for a lot of thieves when we go to public places and use, public Wi-Fi?
Yes, because even if you go and use your smartphone, you think that you're on a more secure cellular connection, but you're really back into mistake number 1, where
it's a cycle.
Where you're into public Wi-Fi.
Amazing how that can happen. What's the third one, Chip? The
third one is you decide not to make any purchases in the darn coffee shop, right?
Just wait.
You decide to go home and use your PC with your password-protected Wi-Fi connection. Excellent suggestion, right? So you believe now that it's more secure, and you'd be right. Yeah. But what happens when you push the submit button? What happens to that credit card data as it moves through the internet? Is it secure? You need to understand that it's probably not secure unless you look up at the top of the browser at the URL and see if it says HTTPS, not HTTP. If it says HTTPS, it means your credit card data is encrypted in transit and therefore secure.
Well, good advice, Chip. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for being here this morning. A lot of good things that maybe you didn't know before. You can get how big data is targeting you for $24.95 on Amazon, but it's discounted on the FTC Guardian website for $9.75. You can get a link to that website on our website, 41NBC.com. And stick around. We're going to have more Daybreak coming up for you right after this.